By the 1950s, U.S. light tanks were aging fast. The M24 Chaffee, a World War II veteran, was being phased out. Its replacement, the M41 Walker Bulldog, offered better speed and firepower with a 76mm gun, but it came with trade-offs. The M41 was too heavy for airborne operations, and its size limited rapid deployment options. For the growing U.S. airborne divisions, that was a critical problem. They needed armor that could keep up. At the same time, the Soviets introduced the PT-76, a lightly armored amphibious tank. It could cross rivers and support infantry in rough terrain. The U.S. took notice. In 1959, the Army launched a new program to solve multiple problems at once. Create a vehicle light enough to be dropped by parachute, mobile enough to operate in harsh terrain, and armed well enough to take on any threat. That vehicle would become the M551 Sheridan. By 1960, a prototype, the M551, was in development. The design called for aluminum armor to keep weight down instead of steel, a bold choice that sacrificed protection for mobility. To pack a punch without the recoil of a big conventional gun, engineers equipped the Sheridan with the M81, a 152mm low-velocity gun launcher. It fired both standard rounds and the M51 Shillelagh anti-tank missile. In theory, this gave the Sheridan the firepower of a much heavier tank. The Sheridan was built to drop. It featured a specially designed shock-absorbing undercarriage and deployment frame, allowing it to survive low-altitude parachute landings alongside troops. Testing showed promise, but not without problems. The gun's recoil systems were finicky, and missile guidance electronics were fragile in field conditions. Still, in 1966, the design was approved. The XM551 became the M551 Sheridan, and production began. By 1962, the Army realized that the MGM-51 Shillelagh missile system would not immediately be ready for the Sheridan, and so considered several alternative gun systems. One prototype replaced the complex 152mm system with a more conventional 76mm gun. But the 76mm offered less firepower, no missiles, and limited penetration, and failed to justify the change. Another attempt added a 105mm gun in a new low-profile turret. While the 105mm was powerful and proven, it required heavy modifications to the Sheridan's lightweight hull. The extra recoil and structural stress made the tank harder to manage, defeating its original purpose as an air-droppable vehicle. In the end, neither variant entered production. The Army stuck with the original design, accepting its flaws in favor of keeping the Sheridan deployable and missile-capable, at least on paper. The M551 Sheridan first saw combat in Vietnam in 1969, where it was deployed with U.S. armored cavalry units. Airborne and light enough to be helicopter-lifted or parachuted in, the Sheridan was ideal on paper for jungle warfare and rapid deployment. But theory clashed with reality. The aluminum hull, while light, made the Sheridan dangerously vulnerable to mines and RPGs, and the 152mm gun launcher proved temperamental in combat. Its low muzzle velocity made it hard to hit moving targets, and the Shillelagh missile system was almost never used. Despite its flaws, the Sheridan saw limited action again in 1989 during Operation Just Cause in Panama. Its compact size and firepower proved useful in tight urban fighting. Some also deployed briefly in the Gulf War, mostly in reconnaissance roles. Though criticized for its shortcomings, the Sheridan gave U.S. forces a mobile, air-droppable punch where heavier tanks couldn't go. It was a stopgap, but sometimes a useful one. By the 1980s, the M551 Sheridan was showing its age. Its electronics were outdated, its armor inadequate, and its complex gun launcher system remained unpopular. By 1996, the U.S. Army officially retired the Sheridan from frontline service. It didn't disappear overnight. Sheridans found a second life at Fort Irwin, used as enemy vehicles in mock battles against U.S. troops training for Cold War scenarios. Their small size and speed made them ideal to stand in for Soviet ZSUs or T-80s. Today, surviving Sheridans are preserved in museums and memorials across the U.S. The M551 Sheridan was never perfect, but it was bold and will be remembered as one of the strangest armored vehicles the U.S. ever fielded. Since you're here, please consider liking and subscribing for more of this kind of content. Tanks,